I've played Kirby Air Riders, but is it good? If you haven't already watched my previous Gamescom video, I went over my brief history with the series. Basically, a quick rundown is I own a Japanese version of the game, and I've only played it once. Me being an idiot didn't do any research into the controls or mechanic of the game and just expected it to run like another kart racer. So not knowing that the machines drive themselves, honestly, I really struggled and I never played the game again. So obviously going into this new game, Kirby Air Riders, I've been following all of the news and keeping up with how the controls and mechanics of the game works, mainly from the recent Kirby Nintendo Direct. This went live literally a day or two before I went to Germany to play the game, so this really helped me prepare. So with all that in mind, I made my way to Germany and went to the Nintendo area to play Kirby Air Riders. I entered this small room which had the Kirby Air Riders key art plastered on the wall, which was absolutely beautiful and a great photo op. And they had these amazing Kirby Air Riders demo booths, and I got to jump straight into the game. The amazing staff there explained everything to me very clearly and told me what I would be doing in my session. So they explained to me that I would be running through a quick tutorial and then jumping into City Trial, which I was so glad to hear. So let's talk about the tutorial. I'm so glad this is included in the game because I feel it is vital, especially as a new player. The controls and mechanics of this game are very different to races that I'm used to, such as Mario Kart. The karts in this game are actually called machines and they drive themselves. So you don't actually push a button to drive, which took me a little while to get used to, but you can still tilt the stick to change direction. The first tutorial I jumped into was how to boost charge. With this, you hold down the B button to charge up a boost. When you use this, it does actually break your machine and take it to the ground, so you have to be pretty mindful when to use this. As you can see here, I accidentally done it whilst gliding in air and it immediately tanked my machine to the floor, meaning I failed that tutorial. Next, I learned how to boost whilst going around a corner. With this, you essentially tilt the stick as you're going around a corner and press B and you will drift along with getting a speed boost. Following that, I learned how the machine can glide in the air. I went over a ramp and tilted the stick back towards myself and the machine automatically glides. I had to go through some hoops to complete the tutorial and I really enjoyed gliding, which you will see me doing a lot more of later during City Trial. Then I learned how to perfect land. This one was a little bit tricky for me. You basically want to land parallel to the floor and not crash land. So the first time I actually done this, I passed it fine, and maybe I got a little bit confident in thinking I knew how to do it. What I worked out after failing a good few times with this one is actually less is more. I think I was trying too hard to perfectly land, and actually I just needed to tilt the stick slightly just to glide onto the floor. I think once I have the full game and can practice it a bit more, I hopefully can get to a point where I just always do this without foul. And just like in normal Kirby games, you can also inhale enemies. You basically press B near an enemy to inhale them, or if you're not playing as Kirby, you capture them. As this was just the tutorial, I was automatically spitting them back out as a star, but I know you can also get abilities this way. Next up was quick spin. You basically just wiggle the stick left and right and you perform a little spin. You can use this to hit enemies, but also to break blocks, which you will see me doing later in City Trial. As Sakurai said in the Kirby Direct, unfortunately they've added a second button. This leads on to the next tutorial, which was using a special. You can charge up a special gauge, which is below the boost charge in the bottom corner of the screen. Once this is full, you can press Y and unleash a special move. In this tutorial, I was using Ultra Sword and it was very fun. This ended the tutorial session that I could try, so I was ready to dive straight into City Trial. Before I jump straight into City Trial, I want to have a quick chat about the riders. So if you're new to this series, the riders are essentially the playable characters in the game. Now, I'm basic, I'm just a girl who loves Kirby, so of course I'm going to pick him. But I did pick Susie for my second run through of City Trial just to change things up a bit. All of the riders that have been announced so far were playable in this demo session, but I just want to focus on this screen for a second. Is it just me, or does this look a little bit gappy? I don't want to be too optimistic, but to me this looks like there is 100% room for more characters. I'm hoping at some point we will get more character announcements, because I know, as well as others, that there are so many fantastic characters in the Kirby series that we would love to see added to the game. The characters also have alternative colours that you can pick from, which I did have a quick little look through. I didn't get to look through this myself, but it was shown in the Kirby Direct that each rider has individual stats. They can have different speed, grip, HP and attack, for example, and this will all impact your gameplay. City Trial is so much fun. It is chaos in the best way possible. So you're on the island of Skya. This is a big sandbox open map. You start off slow with no stats. You have a 5-minute time limit to make your way around Skya and collect power-up items. These items increase specific stats. While you're going around, you can also change machines too, which you will find dotted around. To do this, you just go close to one and press Y. So I know Sakurai specifically said in the direct that you should be pretty mindful about which power-ups you collect. He basically said that you should be a bit smart and strategic with it. However, I'm not gonna lie, I low-key just collected anything. During both of my playthrough of City Trial, I accidentally ended up with really high top speed and glide, but this did help me win the matches, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So once I landed on Skya, the first thing I done was change to a different machine just to try something new. I then made my way around collecting different stats, and the further you go on throughout your 5-minute time limit, you can feel your machine just getting faster and faster. Obviously, I did end up with a lot of speed, so mine was a little bit crazy to control towards the end, but I found that really fun. I joined City Trial with 3 other players that were in the room with me along with CPUs. I could see them all going around Skya along with me, and you can actually attack them as you go by, collecting some of their power-ups. This made it really fun and interactive, and at one point I even got this crazy meteor item. This basically just shot a line of meteors in front of me, so the first thing I went to do was just find other players the second I got it so that I could hit them and take their items. Mentioned in the Kirby Nintendo Direct, you can actually play City Trial online with up to 16 players and local wireless with 8 players. While exploring, you will come across these boxes which you do a quick spin attack to break and you get more power-up items out of them. Now, to add to the chaos, random events will take place. For example, when I was driving around, it was announced that portals were opening. So going in these portals basically shoot you across the map, meaning I could just zoom around to different locations and collect loads of power-ups really quick. There was also another random encounter where all of the power-ups went giant, making them really easy to see on the map and collect them. Once the 5 minutes is up, you go to the stadiums. Here I had the option of picking from 4 different games. The good thing is, especially as a new player, the game does recommend which one is best for you based on the stats that you've powered up. With that in mind, I picked Air Glider, which was a flying game. This was me against one other player, and it was essentially who can glide the furthest. On my second playthrough of City Trial, a few of us decided to pick the same game so that we could compete against each other. This was more of a normal race style match. So I started off and I was doing fairly okay because I did have good speed. However, I noticed a ramp as I was going past. I used this to my advantage because I knew I had good glide, so I finished the rest of the race in the air. And because of this, I won, so it's really good to take advantage of the settings around you. Overall, I loved City Trial. I absolutely cannot wait to dive deeper into Skya. Just for the exploration alone, I loved the theming of each of the individual areas, and I feel like I barely saw any of it. While I was driving around, I even saw Kine, and I cannot wait to see what else there is to discover. As Sakurai said, this game is wild, and I mean that in a positive way. I'm not too sure what I expected as a new player, but I am so impressed. City Trial really feels like something special, and I'm so excited to dive into the full game later this year. I asked on Instagram if anyone had any questions for this video, so I'm going to answer a few quickly now. First up, I got asked if someone who hasn't played Kirby before could play this game. I would absolutely say so, yeah. As someone who has played plenty of Kirby games, this is so different from the traditional formula that I feel like it's just its own separate thing. I don't know if the tutorial will be mandatory when the game launches, but if not, I will 100% say you should do this, especially as a new player. I feel like going in with no prior knowledge of the series can be a little bit confusing, so the tutorial will definitely help. I also got asked if Skya feels big enough for the 5-minute time slot, and yes, 100% to me personally it does. As I mentioned earlier, there is just so much going on in this map. It feels like there's so much to explore, and even going through all these portals and zipping about, I feel like I only saw a small fraction of the map. That's one thing I'm really looking forward to when the full game launches, is honestly exploring Skya, and I feel like it has very high replayability. Which character would I like to choose from Kirby Air Riders? As I said earlier, I'm so basic. If you can't already tell, I love Kirby, so I will be picking Kirby, but it'll be fun to try out the other characters too. Did I love it? Absolutely. Honestly, I came out giddy. As I said previously, I am a new player and I really wasn't too sure what to expect, but I had such a fun time. So is Magalore the best Borb? Bad Orb? 100%. We love Magalore here. So that was my time with the game so far. So I think we're going to continue to get bits of information up until the launch of the game this November. And hopefully we find out a little bit more about what they teased at the end of the Kirby Nintendo Direct. If you have any questions about my time with the game, please leave me a comment and I will get back to you. And a massive thank you to Nintendo for letting me get hands-on with the game early. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye!